Howdy folks, Craig Levati here with the Houston Museum of Natural Science and the Beyond Bones Zoomcast. Today we're talking to Dan Reilly from the National Weather Service here in Houston. It's safe to say he has a very important job. We're like the weather capital of the world. Howdy folks, Craig Levati here with the Houston Museum of Natural Science and the Beyond Bones Zoomcast. New year, same us. Yeah, nothing's changed. It's the same show. I am Craig, obviously, and I am joined by my co-host, as always, Kat Havens.
Hello, how are you guys?
We are good over here. Like you said, nothing much has changed. Little old dog over there, coffee right there. So nothing has changed. How's everything going on in your life, Kat?
Pretty good. It feels like I haven't been on with you in forever. It feels like a year instead of like maybe a month or so. So I'm glad to be back.
Took a month sabbatical, and it's weird. Every single Wednesday at around 1:00, I started like looking at my little cabinet over here where I keep all of my recording equipment and stuff. And I was just like, oh,
I'm supposed to be somewhere.
I want to get onto the silver mic and talk about something going on. Is there anything like I would see things and stuff? So yeah, but yeah, we kept in contact with on text message and stuff, guys. So yes, we are friends when we're not doing.
We definitely are.
Beyond Bones. Today's episode is really cool. I just was blown away that this guy wanted to chat with us because, well, Dan's got a really important job. Dan Reilly is the warning coordination meteorologist for the National Weather Service here in Houston. They are actually based in Dickinson, close to my old hood, Pearland. And Dan, how you doing?
Doing great. Great to be with you this morning.
And I was joking on our email a few days ago that I was like, I'm excited to talk to the man that controls the weather in Houston. And but it's true because you don't control the weather, obviously. But you guys, the National Weather Service dictates pretty much everything that we do here in Houston, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Sometimes you have a very important job. And thank you for that. Thank you for the job that your team does.
You're welcome. Yeah, we really know that's kind of our lane, weather. And, we work with a lot of groups trying to give them the information they need to make decisions and be safe. So, very happy to have this job.
What does your job entail for kids out there that are listening? If there are kids out there listening, what does your job entail? How did you get where you are now?
Well, growing up, I was interested in weather. I thought it was cool. And, snowstorms, tornadoes, those sort of things, was fascinated by them. So I went to college. I got a physics degree, a science degree, and then I got a master's in meteorology. And today I use that knowledge to forecast the weather, to issue forecasts and warnings, and to let everybody know when there is some weather they need to be concerned about. So that's just in a nutshell, my background.
What is your, I guess, every job has like its busy periods. Your busy period obviously would be hurricane season, right?
Yeah. Hurricane season is busy, but, we get spring floods. We can get tornadoes any time of the year, as we just saw.
Yeah.
And then this last year we had a severe winter storm, so it's always something in Houston.
Houston keeps you on your toes.
Exactly. And even on a sunny weather day, maybe there's something like a refinery issue, that we have to, that we're called in to help with, where is that plume going to go?
Right.
So we do some dispersion modeling to support that as well.
I never even thought of that as a tie-in to weather, but that is absolutely true, especially in our city, as much, petroleum and refining and whatnot and chemicals in general that we do, that you would be brought in if there's some sort of an incident.
Yeah. And then that surprises some folks. We do that forecast that the public sees, but we're supporting those kind of incidents. We do forecasts for mariners. We forecast for all the airports, keeping those flights running. We get marine fog, we get all kinds of things here in Houston. So it's rarely a dull moment at the office.
Now, you guys are located off 646 in Dickinson. How long has that location been there?
It's been there, I want to say since the mid 90s, I believe. And there was an office in Dickinson prior to that, but what they did is they combined offices there and in Galveston and in Alvin to that one location. And then it became kind of that regional forecast office, I think in 1995.
Because that's where the Office of Emergency Management is for Galveston County, correct?
It is. And out of 122 weather forecast offices across the country, it's the only one like that, where we're co-located with an Office of Emergency Management. So that really helps us out. It helps them out. And, we have that face-to-face contact with Galveston County that way.
I guess that stands to reason, because I guess as a Houston native, I would say that we're sort of the weather capital of the United States, because we have everything in any given time. Is it located there strategically, or is it just sort of how real estate works?
Yeah, I think combination of reasons, but being halfway between Houston and Galveston makes a lot of sense. Of course, Galveston has a tremendous weather history with all the hurricanes and such. And so the other thing is, you wouldn't want to put an office right in downtown, because we have that weather radar, and you can't have high rises blocking that. So it makes sense for a lot of reasons to be halfway between Houston and Galveston.
So I'm kind of curious, Craig and Dan, what does like your average day look like? What would like a typical day look like? A typical day where there was a surprise weather event?
A typical day is looking out the next 7 days. When might there be severe weather? So let's use this last weekend as an example. As we're leading up to that 3 or 4 days ahead of time, we know, well, there could be some severe storms. I guess it was Saturday afternoon and Saturday night. And then as we get closer and those storms are actually forming, we're looking at them with weather radar, seeing if they have spin, if they have rotation, if they may have a tornado. Then we put those tornado warnings out. People get them on their phones and on TV, and hopefully take protective action. And then after that's all gone, then we're out looking at all the damage, evaluating the tornadoes. Was it a tornado? How strong was it? Was it rated on a scale of 0 to 5? So, just that one 24-hour event, leads to a lot of work before and after. And so every week is different. That's one interesting thing about the job too. You have a certain set of knowledge, but no day is the same as the next. And so you're constantly challenged to forecast and warn accurately.
Keeps it fresh.
I would assume it's sort of like I've spent a lot of time in newsrooms, and I'm assuming that it's sort of like a newsroom atmosphere, that you're constantly on your toes. You're constantly looking at things. You're constantly forecasting.
Exactly. And, when the weather is severe, we surge up, so we bring everybody in. There's a lot of activity going on during warning operations. But one thing I did mention is, for example, with the Houston Marathon coming up, we're talking to the city of Houston. What are the conditions there? If it's too warm and humid, marathoners can get ill, so it's just always something different. It really is an interesting job. But it is like a newsroom in a way, because you're also trying to get information out. You're trying to gather information. Where were the storms? Did they do damage? We're really hungry for information after.
And what does that tell us down the road? What can it help us in predicting, or kind of,
Exactly. We put a warning out. Was it severe? Did it have hail? Did it do damage? Was there a tornado, in that area? And so there's often a lack of information right after that we're really hungry to gather. And maybe some folks watching this would be interested in becoming weather spotters for us. That's something we do. We have a weather spotter network. We do training every year.
Citizen science.
Citizen science. So it's a way y'all, as Skywarn weather spotters, that's the name of our program, can actually tell us what's going on in your neighborhood and help us with our warnings.
I love that. In fact, I'm going to get with you after the show, because we're going to be doing a thing on citizen science for classrooms and whatnot. And you're real into education. I was talking to you earlier about how I was online kind of checking you out, seeing what you were about. And I found
stalking him.
Hey, maybe just a little stalking the weather guys. But I found all of these links that you had provided for educators, good links with good information on, meteorology and weather. And I just thought that was so cool. And there's so many opportunities to get kids and even adults interested in science and interested in weather specifically.
Exactly. And I didn't even talk about that before. We have a large outreach program to teachers, to others. It's really our goal that people are weather aware, they're weather knowledgeable, they know what to do if there's severe weather. And so that's another really great part of my job is outreach to the public, to teachers and others. So would love to partner with you on that.
That would be great. And weather awareness is so important. I feel like a weather warrior now. Like I've learned how to empty my pipes. I've got like stockpiles of water, all kinds of things just from, sort of listening and thank goodness not having to be too big of a victim of Houston weather. But it is an important thing to educate the public.
Definitely.
Sure.
Were you here? Were you here during Harvey?
I was. Him?
Everybody,
Sorry.
yeah. I know Kat was, but
sure.
Dan, you were here during Harvey?
Yeah, I came on into the area 2008, so I was here for Ike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all the floods, Harvey. And I had worked in Virginia, North Carolina with some hurricanes there as well. So it was just kind of too bad in a way, to come back to Houston in 2008. And right then you have that major hurricane coming in, but all kinds of weather, of course, here in Houston since then.
I was going to say, yeah, because there we had Ike, obviously. And then right after that, or a year or so after, we had that huge drought.
Right. We had Ike, big storm surge, big, huge, powerful hurricane. And then we had a period of heat and drought. And I remember a lot of the folks concerned about water supply and the farmers having to bring, hay from the northern plains. And, it was and a lot of wildfires too. So.
The big wildfires, Magnolia-ish, right?
Bastrop, yeah.
Bastrop, that's right.
Exactly. Then we've been in a much wetter period since 95 where all these holidays seem to correspond to floods, and so, it's been, everything has happened really in that period of time.
So there was Memorial Day flood, there was Tax Day flood. We had another weird one there too.
Yeah, there was like a second Memorial Day weekend flood.
That's right.
Following year. And then, we've had tornadoes on Halloween. We've had tornadoes on Christmas Day. I remember up in Houston County, we had a very strong tornado on Christmas Day. So everything, we don't get a lot of winter weather, but look, last year we had a very high impact winter weather events. So
yeah, we did.
So you missed all the fun from Rita, because Rita was in was 2005, right? It was that we thought that we were going to get a direct hit. Obviously, things moved around. Sadly, another part of the state got hit, but that was another one of those instances where people were just so glued to you guys nonstop.
And that was on the heels of Katrina.
Yeah.
And, I was sitting at a weather office in Virginia that year, and we were kind of watching from afar. But, you had Katrina and how horrible that was. And then it looked like a Category 5 Rita was coming right at Houston. And it turned at,
Beaumont
as he got closer. So, that was, understand how tense that was.
We're all kind of a little traumatized here in Houston.
Yeah, that was the thing too, because this past weekend. So if you guys are watching and listening now, last weekend we had a pretty nasty run of storms that dropped a few hurricanes in the Spring Branch area. That's about it's northwest of town, I guess, right, Kat? Yeah. And just, really, bad stuff happened. And it was one of those things, and it came with a lot of, I remember lightning. Because there was just an amazing lightning storm, and my little apartment sort of like inside, I'm in the courtyard area. So I didn't see that much of that, but I saw friends online that were posting photos and videos that were got an amazing light show. And I missed the whole thing. It's one of those things where weather can pop up any time of the year here in Houston. And it's going to, obviously, I don't want to veer off into another topic, but it seems like your job is just going to get even more crucial to us.
Yeah. Any time of the year, any time of the day, those tornadoes, they occurred up in Humble, Kingwood, Spring Branch, Montgomery, even a brief touchdown near Dayton. So, And then many of those were at night, so those are especially dangerous because a lot of people are asleep. They may not get the warnings. We recognize that, what to do, to be safe. So that's kind of our job in a nutshell.
So that brings up another, sorry, Kat.
I was just going to say, every time
I get one of the,
here. We love stepping on each other. It's what we do. It's virtual. What are you going to do? Every time I get one of the warnings and it says like, go to the basement, I'm like, but I don't have a basement. I want a basement so bad. It always makes me laugh at these, but we just go to like the interior, right? That's the safe spot during the hurricane.
Bathtubs,
something where I'm assuming closet. It's preventing debris that's flying through windows coming at you. Is that the point of that?
Yeah, during the tornado, you want to get inside, away from windows. And hopefully our warnings aren't saying basement because, a lot of people around here, no one really has a basement. So that's one of those national templates that doesn't make sense in Houston. But if there's a tornado warning or, you see or hear a tornado, get to the interior of your house. And usually it's a closet or bathroom without windows. And then just wait for that storm to go by.
What do you do if you're in your car? I'm really concerned. I don't think people know. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people just aren't aware. So if you're in your car, where do you go?
Yeah, if you're in your car, you're really not safe. So what I'll try to do is, I'll if I'm in a tornado warning, I'll stay put. If I'm home or at work, wait, or if someone's at school, for example, they're much safer in school than on the road. So a lot of our schools are good about that, holding the kids. Putting them in the halls. Worst case scenario, you're out on the road in Houston traffic and there's a tornado coming. There's not a lot of good options. But at that point, you try to get to a structure. If you can pull over, get into a retail shop or something else that's sturdy and get away from windows. That's really the best option. You're not safe getting under a bridge. A lot of people think to do that.
What about a ditch?
A ditch, that's kind of a last resort. If you see a low spot away from the cars, away from power lines, you may, and it's not flooded, you may head there, or you just kind of lean down below the level of the windows and hang on. But those are kind of last ditch things. The best thing to do is to get indoors if there's any way you can.
Okay, excellent. I'm in a basement right now, by the way.
Well, you are in a safe spot.
There you go. There's go ahead. Yeah,
I want to say one thing I do. This sounds a little bit crazy, but I have a radar app, and there's a lot of good free ones out there. And I could see where I am and where the warnings are and where the storms are. So think of that almost like a weather GPS. And, I'm not going to be driving through Houston if there's a flash flood warning or driving through a tornado warned area. I'm going to try to avoid that. So, that's one thing you could do is just be aware of where the storms and the warnings are. And if you're out on the road, try to avoid those.
So that brings up another important question. For Dan Reilly at the National Weather Service in Houston, what apps do you use? That the regular people out there
could have access.
Yeah, there's so many free ones out there. I would just search weather radar or weather warnings. I know the local TV stations typically have a weather alert feature. Pick your favorite TV station and just experiment. I can't recommend any, officially, but what I personally use, there's a couple out there. There's one called Radar Scope that I really like, but it may be more than the average citizen needs. It shows me a lot of radar data that I can use to interpret and things like that, and it shows the warnings. But there's just many out there. We do have a website called weather.gov/subscribe. And that's kind of a complete list of different apps and websites that you can check out.
Yeah, we've had Eric and Matt on from Space City Weather a few times now. And those guys, they have a great app as well. And they're always constantly working on it. Another friend of mine, Dwight Silverman's been helping them with that. So that's the thing. It's like Houston's got this really interesting weather scene, and you're a part of that. And everybody, shares information. And it's funny you said that there's apps out there that have way too much information. But I think honestly now we're such weather nerds now that people want to have as much information as they can. Mm-hmm. And they'll start you'll probably even hear this like out in the wild. You will hear people spouting off, data that you're like, how did you know that? Like, why?
Or no.
Yeah. No, there's so much out there now.
Yeah.
And, many years ago, maybe only we would see all that information and we could interpret it and, share with people in context. Now everyone sees every model, every spaghetti line of track, even like 15 days out, and they're getting concerned about it. So,
right.
That's one thing to remind your listeners or and your viewers is that if you see a model hurricane, 10 days out or longer, the models have very little skill that far out. So don't be overly alarmed.
And it can switch at the very end, at the very last minute. It can
as we've seen, yeah.
Oh yeah, and you'll see the same thing with winter weather. Like there'll be an internet rumor about a big storm coming, but it's based on a model that has almost no skill that far out.
If you don't have enough data, the more data you get, the closer it gets, the more data, not points, but it gets better and better. But yeah, the further out. Yeah,
I mean, not to get technical, but there's a science discipline called chaos where
chaos theory.
Yeah, chaos theory, where errors grow exponentially as you go out for nonlinear systems. Well, it turns out the atmosphere is one of those. And so that's why there's kind of a limit to predictability, out about 7-8.
Butterfly effect is part of chaos theory, isn't it?
It is, exactly. And the way that goes is that a butterfly flapping their wings may result in a tornado, 10 days later. So the idea is small effects early on can amplify out as you go further out. So that's a little technical, but bottom line.
You would dig it, Craig. I'm going to give you my chaos book. I think you'll like it.
Okay.
It's written for lay people, so it's not, overly burdensome.
I'm a lay person.
I'm a lay person.
I gladly wear that. That's funny you brought up that there's always these, and especially now with social media, there's these, one person shares a questionable map radar thing and all of a sudden it snowballs, no pun intended, into something a little bit more frantic. And then I think there's a thing right now, actually, I saw my friend Justin Stapleton at Channel 2. He's trying to dispel this like weird rumor that we're about to have. I think you've probably seen this too, Dan, like at the end of the month, we're going to have single digit temperatures again or something like that. And there's some sort of, nightmare scenario that's out there that's now scaring people. I'm scaring you guys now. I'm sorry. But Dan, yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about where
Dan, are we all going to die? I guess
misinformation gets out there and then it gets snowballs and then.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Justin, we're really close. We work closely with all the TV stations, Space City Weather as well. Space City Weather is what's known as a Weather Ready Nation ambassador with NOAA, which means we share a common mission. So, any group out there actually can become a Weather Ready Nation ambassador just by identifying with that safety mission and signing up to be one. And so that's one great thing about the Houston area, as you touched on. There's a lot of people active in the weather, and we're very fortunate to kind of work together on these things. And you're right, that really cold air coming, in a few weeks, that's a perfect example of something not to get too concerned about because it's too far out to really be confident about that at all.
Yeah. And you definitely need to be weather aware, and, obviously, as always, if you're going to live here. That's another thing, too, that I've noticed that since Houston now has become so popular in Texas at that point for transplants coming from other parts of the country who, you get plopped down in Houston, in the Houston area, and then there's weather that we're completely used to or we understand it. We're used to now, 90 degrees on Christmas Day, say. But people from other cities and states aren't used to that. You're having to counteract that. You're having to educate thousands of people every single day on what it means to live and work here.
Right. And, we're so diverse in Houston also. There's a lot of different groups, different languages that are spoken. And so really
accessibility to weather information.
Accessibility to weather, and so we work with emergency managers also from different jurisdictions. And, we're all trying to figure out how to get the word out to all these groups, both new to the area and also maybe who don't have English as a first language, or maybe the hearing impaired or the blind. So there's so much work, ways we can improve, and we're mindful of all those things.
Yeah, I'm always seeing posts on the Houston Reddit board, especially because I lurk around over there, and there's always someone, asking, I just moved here from the Northeast, Northwest. Why is this happening? Or should I be worried about a flood? And it's kind of funny how natives were kind of just like, oh yeah, we'll probably get like 5 inches, but you'll be fine, or something like that. We try to always, downplay it because if we've grown up here, we're used to it. And it's only gotten crazier over the past 20, 25 years or so.
No doubt. And, you think about Rita, going back to Rita and the evacuation issues we had back then, our population is so much greater now. And so, there's so many elements to Houston, we're one of the most populated cities, a lot of new folks, a lot of weather. It's just a really incredible place to be, from a weather point of view and how it can impact people.
And thank goodness we tend to pull together in this town too, this city, back each other up in these bad events. I mean, I saw a lot of that in every single weather event where people, a good sense of community.
Oh yeah. And, I have so much respect for first responders, getting out there, the Coast Guard. I mean, I wouldn't want to leave anyone out, but you're right. All these groups kind of really pull together in recovering. And like I say, that's kind of our job before the storms to help those groups get ready to know what is coming, so for a Harvey, we're telling people 40 inches of rain, catastrophic flooding. This is not an ordinary type situation. And, with the winter events, we even talked a little bit about the possibility of power outages. No one knew, I don't think, that it would be as bad as it was.
Right.
But we're just constantly trying to make sure people are ready. We're talking to the mayor of Houston. We're talking to everyone. It's always something here in Houston.
And on the hierarchy, I guess, of weather forecasting, you guys are obviously the top tier because you're the governmental agency. You're the head honchos of that. Everything kind of filters down from you guys. That has to be just a crazy responsibility to think of every morning when you wake up.
It does. And, but that's our job, so we don't mind that at all. And we are in some ways behind the scenes. There are others that are maybe more visible, and we don't have any really problem with that. We're working with our partners in the media. You mentioned Space City Weather and others. So it's kind of like a group effort, if you will. We actually all come together and meet. We try to meet every year, something called the Integrated Warning Team, where we get all the broadcasters, groups for online weather and weather service all together just to talk about messaging issues, emergency managers. And so we work on those relationships. So we are hopefully speaking from the same sheet of music.
What are some of the issues that are out there that you guys have to sort of counteract? Do you have to explain to the media? I mean, you guys are I guess you guys are a part of the media, but you're different because you're a governmental agency. You can be a little bit more dry. What do you think about, do you have to sometimes step in to the media guys and say, hey, look, don't be as frantic about something, or, mind your tone?
I would say very rarely. There may be something that we would question, and maybe they see something we're doing that they're not sure about. So, we have to have that relationship to bring it up. But for the most part, I think everyone is pretty well disciplined, even in the media, not to be too over the top. And I do want to say we're really making an effort to create graphics. If you look at our social media now, I think it's really improved over the last several years. So, hopefully it's very clear to understand, and people can go straight to our website too and, kind of compare. I think people are going to like it.
Is the National Weather Service on TikTok yet?
No, not on TikTok. Although, I have actually seen there's a TikTok meteorologist out there who works for the Weather Service now. So never say never. There is someone actually out there on TikTok giving weather information.
I would be kind of worried and nervous about that. Like I wouldn't know what, but that is also obviously, where the next generation
gets their information.
Yeah.
That's like it or not.
Part. Yeah.
And maybe we're always a step behind. We're on Facebook and Twitter. But, the younger folks, I think, may have moved on from those.
I think that's the way it goes, though, especially with the sciences and things like that. It's just, it takes a hot minute to catch up. But, you get young people coming in, to meteorology and to what you're doing, and they can help. Yeah,
I think so, too. And that's true of our office. We've got a lot of new hires that, coming out of college, they've got some great ideas, a lot of energy. So I think that's part of the reason our graphics have improved so much over the last 5 years.
I remember at the Chronicle, I was always right clicking and saving y'all's stuff all the time because it was like, I can't do any better than that. That's the best thing. It gives you guys always had great font and everything was easy to read. And you guys, obviously you make us laugh sometimes. You guys will do something funny on there because you can't help but sort of, I don't want to say make light of things, but it is what it is. And, we're all in this together, blah, blah, blah. But you guys all obviously do make it enjoyable to follow along.
Yeah, that's great to hear. We do have some forecasters who do have a sense of humor. In fact, we write something called an area forecast discussion. So if anyone is really into meteorology, they can actually read what the forecaster is thinking on this given day. Oh. And some of those folks. So, we hope people will connect with us for that as well.
Cool. I had this question earlier because you guys were talking about hiding in ditches and hiding under bridges and stuff like that. It reminded me of that part in Twister where they're correct. What's been the most, as a weather expert, what's the most annoying weather movie that you've ever seen that you've just been like, that would never happen?
Well, first I'll start with a good one. Wizard of Oz has a great tornado.
Yeah.
Especially considering when that movie was made. I think that's still the best movie tornado around, including Twister.
Yeah.
Okay. But something like a Sharknado or something like that, clearly it's kind of a joke type movie. And now Twister, I think a lot of us meteorologists thought that was, enjoyed the movie, but, you'll hear terms in there that are misused that only we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are they saying that? But I can't think of any movie that really weather-related movie that really irritated me.
And I can't help thinking, don't watch a weather-related movie with Dan. Check. Because he'll be like, that's wrong. Nobody wants to watch history movies with me either.
Now here's one. There was actually one on the Hallmark Channel. I do not watch Hallmark Channel movies.
It's okay. It's the holidays.
All right.
I think it was something like Forecasting a Chance of Love or something like that. And they had a meteorologist and a rancher, so it was kind of a formula movie for the Hallmark Channel. So I'll list that as most annoying weather-related movie.
I was waiting for you to say The Day After Tomorrow, because that's one that I've always heard meteorologists and people in the weather world just sort of like they roll their eyes so hard at that they pop out of their skull.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of wild stuff there about evacuating, and just end of the world stuff. So
what was it?
So
I watched that earlier this week, and it was like, okay, obviously like there was like a tsunami hits Manhattan, and then within like 5 hours, that water freezes solid, and then people can walk on it. And it was just that part. And then the concept of like a hurricane forming over land, hurricane forming over land. And it was like an F-15 or something. And it was just,
it only goes up to 5.
There's a lot on some of the science fiction channels too, just kind of just outrageous scenarios, but definitely keeps people's interest.
Well, it's good. I guess it's good in a way too, because it gets people interested in the real science, and that brings people back to you. It brings people back to the weather field, to the meteorology field too. So it sort of works in tandem, I guess.
I think so. And, we are trying to give people information, based on science. So, we're not, and I'm not saying that others aren't, but, we're not going to quote unquote overhype something, which you hear sometimes people think is being done in some circles. So, we want people to come to us. And, but like I say, our local media, we think do a really good job too.
I always hear from media guys, especially I keep on bragging on Justin because we're buddies. We've gone to a few dead shows together, and Justin's always really good about when I'm in public with him, people just walk up to him and be like, "Crazy weather, huh?" And he's just like, "Yeah." He just doesn't know what else to say. So like now people are going to start bothering you in the stores, and they're going to be like, "So Dan, it rained today. My kid's baseball game got rained out. Thank you." And you could be like, "Okay, I'm sorry." Yeah. So like, do you guys probably take a lot of heat too? I'm assuming on social media. I've seen some of the comments where they'll call you guys stupid and like, you didn't tell us that this was going to happen. And yeah.
No, I think no one is immune on social media. There's a lot of negativity out there, and, we just kind of let that roll right off us. But I know the TV guys, they're more out there, people recognize them in public, like you said. So yeah, if the forecast goes wrong, they a lot of times will take it more directly.
But it's not really something wrong. It's more of just it's forecast. It's not like
maybe it's unexpected or that person didn't expect it. And you try to communicate it, so that's just part of the part of weather, like you say.
You guys do a great job. And if anybody out there, please follow the National Weather Service here in Houston on I think it's Twitter and Facebook and also YouTube. So yes, follow them everywhere you can, download all of the apps, and Dan's team, they do a really great job. They're very dedicated, and they just want to keep us safe and comfortable and dry.
And, I'm glad you mentioned YouTube. You'll hear the same briefing that we're giving the mayor, the emergency managers. We record those as we're giving them and put those online. So, you'll get, the information straight from us, and hopefully you'll be ready, if we do have something significant coming our way.
There you go. All right. Dan Reilly is the warning coordination meteorologist for the National Weather Service here in Houston and in the surrounding area. Guys, follow the National Weather Service on every single platform you can. Dan's team does a really great job. Dan, thank you. Get back to controlling the weather.
All right. Great talking to you.
Make it like
Thanks,
10
Dan.
degrees cooler today if you can. I got to walk the dog later.
Oh, I like it today. I would just as soon lock this in.
Turn it down a little. There you go.
It's absolutely perfect right now.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Good.
Dan, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I told you it was painless. So there we go. We will have this, Johnny will have this out by the end of the week, and we'll make sure to send you a link and you can share it to your heart's delight.
We will.
What was the name of the citizen science group?
It's called Skywarn, and we have a bunch of classes coming up, COVID permitting. We may have to make those virtual, but yeah, it's a good time just to promote that.
Well, I'm doing an Earth Day virtual teacher workshop in the beginning of or mid-February, and we're going to touch on citizen science. So I want to promote your classes if that's cool.
Oh, absolutely. Please do.
Okay, great. And do you have an age limit?
Loosely
15-ish.
13, I would say loosely. Okay. But if we have a really interested kid in weather, even like middle school, I think you
want to encourage that. So yeah. Okay, great. I'll promote it then for sure.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Dan, thank you. And I'll be bothering you down the line for some other stuff too, I'm assuming. So just
No, it's great. We can work together, on different things. So
awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back. Hopefully not because of a horrible weather situation.
Yeah, maybe ahead of hurricane season or something like that.
Yes, that would. Yeah, maybe we'll have an entire month of just weather people on the show.
Sounds good.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Bye.
Bye, everybody.